Hello, this is Mrs. Huntley. This is Module 4, Lesson 20. Every line is a graph of a linear equation. Your essential question for this lesson is how can I write the equation of a line? Now, we've been dealing with graphing equations in the form of y equals mx plus b, or slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. We know that b is our beginning, our y-intercept. We know that m is our slope. We know that y and x are coordinate variables, and they represent all of the solutions that will make the equation true. So every point on a line is a solution to the equation. So every line has an equation. Now, we've been, like I said, taking equations and graphing them. Now, looking at a graph and determining the equation, easy peasy, just like interpreting the equations. So start first with your y-intercept. Where is the line crossing? This is at 0, -3. So our b, our y-intercept, is going to be -3. Find another pair of integer coordinates. Where is it crossing the intersection of two whole numbers? And you count the slope. So here our slope is going to be 1, 2, rise 2, run 1, 2, 3. So it's a positive 2/3. Now I just plug in what I know into the equation. Y equals 2/3 x minus 3. That is my equation. And of course, I learned in previous lessons that every point on this line will make the equation true. And if a point is not on this line, then it won't make the equation true. Let's take a look at another example. What is the equation for the line in Figure 2? Again, identify your b. Where is this line crossing the y-axis? Identify another pair of integer coordinates and count your slope. Go ahead and pause the video if you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you can follow along with me. I'm going to highlight my y-axis. The line, the diagonal line, is crossing my y-axis at 2. So my b is 2. It's also crossing the integer coordinates right there. So to get from where I'm at, I'm going down 1, so -1, and then right 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope is -1/4. If I'm writing that equation, y equals -1/4 of x plus 2. That would be my equation. I don't know why they gave us a whole page there. All right, next page. Given a line, we want to be able to write the equation it represents. Which form of a linear equation do you think will be the most valuable for this task? The standard form, ax plus by equals c, or slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b? Well, certainly slope-intercept form is the easier one to do. Again, we just identify our b. Here it's 4. Identify some other integer coordinates and your slope. So 1 down 2 and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and plug it into the equation. So we've got y equals -2/5 x plus 4. Now, if I wanted this to be in standard form, I again could use my properties of equality to get my x term on the same side as my y term to have it be ax plus by equals c. And actually, this would not be hard to do at all. I could just add 2/5 x to both sides. And I'd have 2/5 x plus y equals 4. Now, I'm not supposed to have, if I'm in standard form, I'm not supposed to have any fractions. So if I'm truly putting this into standard form, I would have to multiply the entire thing by 5 to get rid of that fraction. So 5 times 2/5 would be 2x plus 5y equals 20. And the reason for doing this, what I'm trying to show you is this is one format. This is the same equation in standard form. So if I were graphing this second equation using intercepts, the line would be on top of the first equation. Now, certainly when you're looking at an equation, it's easiest to just write it into slope-intercept form. But my point here is two ways of presenting the exact same equation. You're going to get the exact same graph on them. Example 2. What is the y-intercept of the line? -2. What is the slope of the line? Go up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So I'm actually going to label this B and M. Write the equation for the line. Y equals 4x minus 2. I would like you to pause the video and do example 3 on your own. Oh, it looks like they're counting by tens here. So this is 10, 20, oh, -10, -20, -30, -40. Sorry, can hardly see it. Same thing going by tens to the right as well. Oh, actually in the book it's much more clear, isn't it? Y-intercept, B, -40. And the slope, so 10, 20, 30, 40 over 50. And of course, numerator and denominator can be divided by 10, so my slope is actually a 4/5. What steps are we using to find the slope? Counting, rise, over, run. What is the line of the graph? Y equals 4/5 x minus 40. Okay, exercises 1 through 6 complete independently. So what I would like you to do is go ahead and pause the video, check back in after you solve each question, and make sure you have the right answer. So pause the video right now. Okay, y equals 3x plus 2. Now this bottom part says use the properties of equality to change the equation from slope-intercept form into the standard form ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are integers and a is not negative. So let's take a look at this. Y equals 3x plus 2. If I want the x on the other side, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides of the equation. So -3x plus y equals 2. But they say a is not negative. Well, oops, my a is negative. So I need to multiply the whole thing by -1. -1 times -3 is going to be a positive 3x. My positive y changes to a negative y, and my positive 2 changes to a -2. So y equals 3x plus 2. The equivalent equation in standard form would be 3x minus y equals -2. Please don't worry about this. This is actually not a part of the 8th grade standard. However, it is a part of an algebra standard. So when you get to high school, you will be expected to be able to use the properties of equality to change something from slope-intercept form into standard form. And we've been practicing changing it from standard form into slope-intercept form. So this really shouldn't be that much of a stretch, but I just don't want you to stress over this part of it. I will continue showing you how to do it, and hopefully it will become easier and easier each time you do it. So the next one, writing it in slope-intercept form, that I want you to master before you leave me. So please make sure you're identifying your your y-intercept and your slope, and you're writing the equation in slope-intercept form. So pause the video and let's get going.
If you are taking the activity bus,
okay,
make your way down.
So the first one, or this equation, let's see what number we're on. Number 2, y equals negative 2/3 x minus 1. Again, it says use the properties of equality to write the equation in standard form. So I'm going to show you how I would do that. Y equals negative 2/3 x minus 1. I need to get my x term onto the other side. So I'm going to add 2/3 x to both sides. So I'll have 2/3 x plus y equals negative 1. I can't have a fraction, so I need to multiply the entire thing by 3. 3 times 2/3 is going to be 2x. 3 times y is going to be 3y. And 3 times negative 1 is going to be negative 3. Again, it's just one of the rules in standard form that you can't have a fraction, has to be integers, and that the first one can't be negative, which is why we multiply the whole thing through by a whole number to remove the fraction. Next one, write the equation that represents the line shown. So please pause the video and write this equation. Okay, y equals negative 1/5 x minus 4 should have been the equation that you came up with. If you want to go ahead and try to put this into standard form, go ahead and do so. This equation and this equation are the same. If I were to graph them both, they would be the same line. Number 4, identify your y-intercept, identify your slope, and write your equation. Now I would just write this as y equals x. If you put y equals 1x plus 0, that's fine. You just included a lot of information that's unnecessary. If I were changing this into slope-intercept form, I'm sorry, into standard form, I'm going to subtract x from both sides. And I'd have negative x plus y equals 0. I can't have a negative, so I'd have to multiply everything by a negative 1, so that would be positive x plus negative, oops, not plus negative y. What am I doing? Silly me. Minus y. Move. Come on now. Getting tired. Minus y equals 0. again, don't worry too much about the standard form. All right. Go ahead. You know, I'm not going to do standard form anymore. Let's just do the next two in slope-intercept form and be done with this lesson. So here we go. Identify your B. Please be pausing the video. You should be getting pretty good at this by now. So your equation should be y equals 1/4 x plus 5. And I think this is our last one, isn't it? Okay. Pause the video and then come back to check your work. Okay, so y equals -8/5 x minus 7. The last one? It is. For your summary, how do you write an equation from a line? First, you identify your y-intercept, your b value. Then you find another pair of integer coordinates and you count your slope. That's your m value. And then you plug it into the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. If you want to convert your equation into standard form, you would subtract the x value from both sides of the equation and then make sure that the coefficient of x is not negative and it is a whole number. So that concludes this lesson, and I hope you had a great night. And on your summary, if you want to include a sample here, if you want to draw an x and a y axis and draw a line in there and just label it out as far as how you're finding the equation of that line, that would be awesome. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.